Hello, friends. It's Nancy from Astrology and Angel Mediums today with something a little bit different, something I haven't done in the last couple of months now that I think about it. But I wanted to do a shadow work reading. So, if you watched my pick a pile reading from last week, you will see that I had quite a few shadow cards kind of come up throughout all of the readings. So I'm not sure if all of us are just really needing a little bit of that clarity, a little bit of guidance as far as like what we need to focus on. And since now we are moving into Gemini season, or the sun has officially moved into Gemini, and as the planets kind of start joining in with the sun and moving into Gemini, I think it's a wonderful time to reflect and utilize this energy to do some shadow work and to reconnect with the message that we have within. So I'm going to just pull a couple of cards and then see what we have to focus on here. So, all right, I have everything pretty shuffled. I always forget how thick these cards are, so I can't tell if I'm pulling one or two. So I feel like this one first. Okay. Oh my goodness. I feel like I've been pulling so many reversed cards. I don't feel like that one needs to be reversed though. Okay. Let's see. Now I don't even know what this one is. And then, okay. All right, we're going to throw these little guys over here. So I forgot how big these cards are. It's been a while. I don't really use them too often. I just keep these specifically for me to do shadow work with and like shadow work readings in my shop to kind of help people manage what they have going on. And I think that this one, yeah. This one, no. No, I think that one's good. I think everything needs to be where it is. Okay. Sorry, maybe I should have had all these cards pulled already, huh? Oh my gosh, can I just get the card that I want? I want this one right here. Okay. And I kind of feel, okay. All right, we'll have those two. And I'm feeling this little guy. And I feel like something more towards the bottom. All right. I feel like, I guess we're getting two today of these. Oh, that's funny. I have, let me see. Can you see? Yeah. Just making sure we can see. All right. Let me move these guys a little bit up so we have enough room for everything I'm trying to pull here. Want one of these. And one more. I think I pulled this last week, so I guess we're still working through this lesson. But it may, if you pick that pile, let me know. And then I feel, I don't usually use these, so I may have to reference the book. Oh, I got two. Yep, because I don't know what that animal is. And I've been seeing frogs. I don't know. All right, so quite a bit. So obviously we kind of needed to focus on some shadow work because I have so many cards I've pulled. I'm trying to make room over here. And obviously there is something to be said about all of the cards that I have here. So even just looking at how these have very similar colors and things like that. Okay, so we begin. The very first card we have here is going to be the Ace of Cups reversed. The biggest thing I'm getting here is that maybe we're blocking some of the opportunities or the potential to be more energetically aligned with some of the emotional lessons that have kind of come up. And I know that we just had Mercury retrograde at the end of April, and it feels like this one was especially pungent. Would be the nicest way of putting it. I feel like there's just so many different things that were just kind of coming up, and like a lot of like just holdups and just a lot of really having to confront different aspects of ourselves. And I think with this Ace of Cups reverse is that maybe we're recognizing that for too long our cup has been overfilling and we've been doing maybe too much for everybody else. Maybe we've not really been filling our own cup. And so our cup may feel a little bit empty at the current moment. And I think maybe with this kind of kicking off everything is that maybe we need to take some time out to take care of ourselves, to prioritize ourselves and what we need and what we've been lacking at the current time. Now, next to that, we have the Ten of Swords, which is definitely talking about, taking on too much. And I think of the Ten of Swords, especially reversed, as we have not allowed ourselves to surrender some of the mental anxieties that we've been carrying. And so a lot of this is maybe a little bit more introspective, a little bit more internalized. And so it can be a little bit challenging to kind of communicate how we want to move from this point forward. Maybe we have, been in certain situations or circumstances where we felt like we were pouring so much of ourselves into others that we're not getting that reciprocation. We're not receiving some of that. And I think with the Six of Coins, especially, it kind of being a reminder of giving and receiving and rewards and responsibilities, and kind of bringing things into that divine balance, making sure that we have a good balance with everything that we're trying to do in our lives and all of the different areas and aspects of who we are. So I think that maybe something has been out of emotional connection for us in different ways. And now we're recognizing that maybe we've let our anxiety kind of keep us stuck or keep us kind of attached to something that maybe we know is no longer beneficial for us. So it's hard for us to move forward to the next phase, to actually initiate some of the healing that has been trying to happen. And so here we have the Six of Cups to kind of say we have to bring things into balance. We need that divine balance. Now with the Ten of Cups reversed, I think that again, maybe there's a fear or even something that is holding us back when it comes from us really allowing us to have as happy of a life as we can, whether that is a blockage in allowing something to be easy for us, even if it's something just as simple as like just kind of sitting down and saying, I deserve to have good things to happen. I deserve to have, relationships and connections and community around me that can support me as I kind of transition into different areas of my life and as I try to do different things. And I think the biggest thing with the Ten of Cups reverse is that maybe we're not very happy. And maybe we have to take some time out to look at why. Where is that coming from? Where are we operating from? Are we operating from a place where we feel very disconnected, where we feel very, maybe even like a sense of betrayal over not having our lives look or feel the way that we thought they were going to? Because again, this is shadow work. So this is really about sitting with yourself, sitting with those uncomfortable kind of emotions and recognitions and realizations that, for a lot of us, things have not really been quite as kind or as easy. A lot of us are, continuously feeling a sense of struggle and resistance to things shifting, things moving. And I think with this card, it's really just a reminder to maybe connect a little bit more to what we feel, to what we want. Now, I think the High Sage, I don't know if that's the Empress. I'm assuming the High Sage might be the Hierophant. But let me just make sure. No, it's the High Priestess. I was wondering if it was either the High Priestess or the Hierophant, because I'm like, it can be either one. So to me, with this being underneath, to kind of say, hey, this is what's kind of supporting some of this energy above us, or like this is what's kind of like our foundation. The High Sage is essentially the High Priestess. Sorry, my neighbor's dog is outside. So you're probably going to hear barking because they just leave their dog outside. To me, this is really a reminder that we need to start trusting our intuition. We need to connect a little bit more to that divine feminine within. And even if you're a man or a non-binary person, we each have those energies within us. And we continuously are kind of shifting between different aspects of who we are. And I think with the high sage, is that it is a reminder that maybe we're not really seeing stuff so clearly. I think of the high priestess as like a beautiful, divine, feminine kind of energy of connecting to intuition and this and that. But the high sage or the high priestess is essentially the moon. And the moon is unpredictable. It's consistently moving every 2.5 to 3 days. It's changing signs. It's constantly going through phases, waxing and waning. And, there's something about that kind of transition and that constant momentum and movement that can be very disruptive to us. And I think with the high priestess that, maybe we don't always see is that she can kind of bring a little bit of a like a gauze is really what I want to say, to a situation where we kind of feel like something's being hidden, something's not so clear. There's a sense of deception and illusion. So maybe we've been not so honest with ourselves, or maybe there's like something that we're not really listening to, whether it's our own intuition, whether we're not paying attention to our dreams, whether we're not allowing ourselves to really dive deep into some of these things. Look beneath the surface. Look at, why the swords are kind of pointing down on her, why this Ace of Cups is kind of spilling onto her. What is that about? Is there some emotional aspects that need to be processed? Is there some kind of mental or logical, analytical aspects of ourselves that are blocking that progression, that progress, that balance that we're looking for? Now, next to that, we have the Nine of Wands reversed. When I think of this card, I think that it's very much a card and a reminder to take a step back, to not keep pushing, to not, keep trying to march ahead. But this being reversed is that maybe it's saying it's time for you to initiate. Stop waiting, stop postponing, stop waiting for the right time or the right moment. Maybe this is your fire that has been kind of suppressed within yourself that's like kind of saying, all right, I'm ready to kind of move to the next thing. And I'm trying to kind of see some momentum and really see something going. But with this, it's almost saying like there's something that you're not letting go. And maybe it's a sense of maybe you don't feel ready. Maybe there is a sense of hesitation to kind of go out there because maybe you're like, well, I don't know everything. And so emotionally, maybe you've just kind of moved on from certain things, because the Eight of Cups really talks about that, like just saying, you know what, I'm no longer interested in what is being presented to me here. And I think with the Eight of Cups as well is that we're maybe kind of at a crossroads in different ways, maybe trying to look at, how do we, feel emotionally about the things that we're supporting and the things that are in our lives. Maybe you've come to realize that some of the dreams you've had no longer resonate with the person that you are now. Maybe you have been working towards a certain goal and you've come to the realization that that goal is not even something that you're interested in or that you want to continuously push on. And I think that these cards are kind of saying like, it's time for you to really look at some of these lessons that have come up and really start processing them so that you can kind of get out there and find that balance once again. Now, I'm going to move on to these guys. First one I have is Earth, and this is, grounding, stability, and strength. And I think it's interesting that, it's almost saying like, hey, you have not been grounded. You have not been allowing yourself to be stable. You're too focused on what strength means to you. And strength isn't always like a thing where you have to feel like you're being tested or that you have to prove your strength. To me, strength is just being empowered enough to understand that you have what is needed, what is necessary to overcome whatever may stand in your way. But I think the biggest thing here is that this is about grounding and stability. Maybe that is something that you haven't felt very comfortable with. Maybe your earthly realm and earthly world has not really been congruent to the sort of life that you would like. I know a lot of people, especially, here lately, a lot of people are really struggling, and life has gotten very expensive, and a lot of us are kind of trying to figure out, how are we going to make it? How are we going to do this? It feels like the bubble is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and we're just like all just kind of collectively hoping it just is like just like a release. There's so much pressure building up, and I think with grounding, it's maybe more of a reminder for you to take that time out to get stable within yourself, especially with some of these other things that have been going on. Is that maybe you feel like you have to have everything figured out, and that is another thing with shadow work, is that it's really, it can feel challenging and it can feel uncomfortable, but it really is a reminder to kind of come back to yourself, to be gentle with yourself, to kind of lead yourself back in, and with a source of light. Essentially, it's like coming in with a lantern and saying, see, I know that you're scared. I know that this is challenging. I know that it's not going to feel easy, but we can make it through. We can kind of get out of here. Now, next to that, we have self-confidence, which I pulled this card last week, which is all about strong self-belief and a sense of, self-worth. And I think that this is just a reminder for you, is that maybe you haven't allowed yourself to feel more confident. Maybe that's where you need to be more grounded in, is because the more confident that we are within ourselves, the easier it is for us to confront the challenges and the things that happen. And I think that this is going to be a big thing, especially when I talk about these other things. And so I'm going to talk a little bit more about the self-confidence card as I talk about some of these other cards. Now, the one thing I did want to bring out and call out, I'm trying to keep it pretty, but I don't think I'm going to be able to. So here we go. All right. So here we have the calm before the storm, which I pulled after I pulled calling the storm. Now, I think with this card specifically, with this being a dark mirror card, calling the storm, when I think of this energy, I think that maybe it's saying you maybe have been so focused on like spearheading and warrior and going and like, ooh, raw power. And I think that's where this energy is kind of saying, like, you've been trying to call that storm. You are pushing towards, really reflecting what it is to you to be powerful. And I think with some of these cards, especially, that while calling the storm may be what you feel you needed to do, it may not be exactly what you needed. And I think that's why I got this Triumph of Lies card, because I think it's really saying, like, you've been sitting back on things that maybe no longer are your truth, or you're not being quite so honest with yourself, or there's some sort of distorted perception going on here. And remember, reality is rarely what we were raised to believe it is. And our reality is consistently being shaped by who we are, our experiences, our circumstances, our, how receptive we are to change, what we are willing to kind of do to change our reality. Because I can tell you, as someone that has been doing this for so long, my reality in 2012 versus now, two completely different people. I would have been so limited by so many things in 2012, just like now. I may think, oh, I'm so open and I'm so this and I know so many things. I'm sure that in 10 years, I'll be looking back, or in 12 years, I'll be looking back and saying, oh, 2024 Nancy didn't know what the heck she was doing either. And that's the thing with the distorted perceptions and this Triumph of Lies, I think, is that we're so stuck on thinking, well, this is what I've been working towards. This is what I've been doing. So how can everything that I've been doing so far be so wrong and be so different? And so maybe you've been pushing and pulling and putting so much of yourself into trying to make yourself feel powerful and connected. And maybe that's where this Triumph of Lies card is coming to, because I think that it's more of a reminder for you to tell you that you don't have to keep living in those things that maybe no longer make sense for who you are. Especially if you feel like you've really changed and you've become something else. It's not comfortable to just kind of remain there to make other people comfortable. And I think with calling the storm, that's why we also got this the calm before the storm, because you've been calling the storm. And with having the Nine of Wands reverse is that maybe you're wanting that peace. You're wanting to kind of step back into, oh, it's always going to be hard. It's always going to be challenging. And again, those are limiting beliefs that are not allowing you to really move into things. That's that distorted perception, and that you're not really seeing clearly what is trying to unfold for you. And it's hard whenever you're so focused on what you thought you were doing and what you think is right, that it's kind of keeping you a little bit stuck. It's not allowing you to have enough freedom to move into something different. Now, I also got this presence of absence, which is, hold what is absence in the presence of your love. Now, I think that this is more of saying you haven't been there for yourself. And maybe it's time to take a moment to kind of sit with you, to sit with your inner child, to sit with your inner self, however you want to view it and look at it, or maybe even taking some time out to sit with you and be like, who am I? What do I love? What do I need? What have I been missing? What don't I have? What have I not given myself? And really being present for yourself and recognizing all the ways that you have neglected yourself, or all of the ways that you've been absent for your personal growth. And I think that this is kind of telling you, like, love yourself through these things. Love yourself, even if you find it challenging to confront the fact that maybe you've been too busy to do something that you really love, or that you haven't had the opportunity present itself for you to be able to express certain aspects of yourself the way that you would like. And I know, again, it's so hard to be a person, and so many of us carry so much guilt about what we're doing and how we're doing it. And then we're so stressed with trying to just exist and be a person. And I think that this is maybe just saying, hey, your perception being so distorted is because you haven't taken the time out to kind of be with you. And that is going to be a big part of this self-confidence, is having that strong self-belief, that sense of worth. And by reconnecting to this energy and stabilizing and grounding back into the physical body, because the earth element is the element of the physical too, not just money and career and the home and space, and it's the physical body. And I think that that's a reminder for you here, is that it's saying we need to kind of connect a little bit more to this energy, because it is vital, it is important. Now, I also pulled the dream card, which is life can be a dream come true. And I love that this came up for a shadow work reading. I know for so many of us, we are struggling to find a dream worth living, if that makes sense. And maybe I'm a little jaded. I'm in my 40s, whatever. But I think for a lot of us, it can be very hard to be receptive and open to allowing ourselves to change how our dream looks, to change how our life looks. And I think that this is maybe just kind of saying it's okay. You need to open yourself up to community and connections and make choices that bring a little bit more harmony for you, so that you can kind of initiate those creative changes that you would like to see. And maybe that's the big thing with it, like this 10 of Cups reverse, is that, again, it's almost saying like you're not allowing yourself to fully dream and be so open. And it's okay to emotionally move on from certain things that maybe you've outgrown, or things that no longer make sense for who you are, because that is something that we do as people too. We're constantly growing. And as you do this kind of shadow work stuff and ask yourself these questions and maybe kind of sit with yourself, you'll start to recognize that some things have changed. So the calm before the storm, again, like I said, and write your own story. I think that these are kind of saying this has been your time to kind of process some of these things, to kind of sit with yourself and really ask, what is it that maybe has been stressing you out and pushing you forward and this and that, before you kind of move into the next thing. And I think writing your own story is moving out of this kind of like triumph of lies, of waiting and trying to live your life according to what other people expect of you, and also not feeling like you are being put on the defensive about you writing your own story on your own terms, and being more receptive to your sense of worth by working through some of these distorted perceptions and showing up for yourself. And I think that's what writing your own story is really trying to say, that it's time for you to really take the reins back. Stop waiting for everything else to make sense for you at this time, because it might not feel like it's going to. And I think with these cards that I had pulled earlier, that is a big thing here, is that maybe you're kind of forgetting how powerful you truly are, because again, like I said, there's a distortion, there's a sense of illusion where we're not seeing things quite so clearly. But if you're moving with your intuition and not the fear and not the sense of you should be doing what everybody else expects, it'll really allow you to kind of empower yourself enough to walk away from the things that are no longer beneficial for you to really start having that dream life come true the way that you need it. Now, I did say I was going to have to look at this book for this one. I think with frog, maybe the only thing I can kind of think of here is that frogs go through a lot of metamorphosis, a lot of transformation. They go through different life cycles. And maybe this is just a reminder to kind of honor those life cycles, honor the changes and the shifts. And I know like Pluto is always a big thing of like transformation and death and rebirth. And I think with the frog card here is that it's kind of trying to tell you like, okay, there's transformation. It can feel uncomfortable. You're going from one environment to another. You're having to change completely. And it can feel very overwhelming too. And so there may be some transformations that you've gone through, and maybe you're still trying to live your life according to what you thought it was supposed to look like to make other people comfortable. And this is kind of saying, no, we're not doing that. Now, I don't know what tapir is, and I don't even know what animal that is. I don't think I've heard of it. So now I'm over here like, where is this at? I think I had used this before, and it was like towards the back. And I don't like to talk too much about like what's going on in the book, but this talks about acting in service to others, charity, and selflessness. Now, why would this come up for a shadow work reading? Have you been distracting yourself with this sort of work in order to not deal with how you really feel and what's going on with you? And I think with this is that it's really asking you to look at how are you showing up for others in their time of need? And what is it that maybe you need for others to kind of show up for you? And I think that this is very much about being gentle and compassionate and just kind to yourself as you're going through a lot of these things. I know it can feel very challenging. And I think with this like self-confidence and earth and stabilizing, I think that's where it's kind of coming from. It's kind of telling you like, hey, we have to kind of move back into the physical, being grounded and stable, and recognizing our sense of worth, having a strong sense of belief within ourselves, so that we can continuously show up with compassion and kindness and selflessness for everything else that is trying to go on in our lives. So I know it's a little hard to kind of do some of these things, but by taking some time out to maybe reflect on why certain aspects of your life have been feeling this way, I hope that this reading helps you clarify something or see something within your experience a little bit better. As always, I appreciate you spending time with me. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know if you have any questions down below. Please take care, stay safe, and as always, make good choices. Bye.